I am taking my family and my business out of California, and I cannot get out of this state fast enough. What's up, everyone? My name is Cameron Hodge. Welcome back to the Cameron Hodge Show, where it's really just a show where I meet amazing people and, well, share my insight with what little I have learned in my life about being in the military, just small tips about being a young father, about figuring things out, and just honestly tracking my journey throughout life. I don't know where it's going. I'm not really sure if this is going to give you value, but what I do know is I'm going to share every single thing I come across to try and help you be a better person and hopefully give a little more freedom in your life, because honestly, that's a huge part of what I am here to do in this world, and I hope that can do the same for you. So today I just wanted to sit down and kind of talk about why I'm leaving California, why me and my wife chose to pick up our family, some of the problems I'm running into in that process, the struggles I've gone through, and really how we went from not really being sure the exact day we're leaving to all of a sudden within 3 weeks we're like, yeah, we're out of here. Right? So it all started, let's just backtrack a little bit. So I obviously grew up in the country of New York. Small town, prison town, Attica, New York. It's one of the biggest maximum security prisons. My dad was a prison guard. My mom was a school teacher. And ultimately, between turmoil of life, joined the Marine Corps, came out to San Diego to being in a bunch of other places. It's where I met my wife, who's born and raised in Southern California. And man, did I not know how much I really don't like living in California before I met her. But I love her to death. She is literally the rock that has allowed me to really do everything I have been able to do in my life. And without her, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But we definitely started to go through some pain and struggles, right? Because obviously, we bought and sold multiple properties. We had rental properties. I was in the military, came out of the military, racked up 80 grand in debt, trying to figure things out. Started my journey of multiple businesses leading to where I am now today. This being the first year that we're going to crest six figures, and actually it's only halfway through the year, and we're already at that point now. And it's just one of those places where we started to realize back in 2021, we had bought a condo a year before in 2020. My first broker is like, hey, you need to get a place. Well, the only place we could afford, because I found out pretty quick, is that when you start a business, well, you need 2 years of income. And unfortunately, I didn't really have that yet. So I found myself living in a condo in northern San Diego County in Bonsall. And I was excited about it. We redid the whole condo, redid the flooring. I fully flipped that place. Well, a year later, about August of 2021, me and my wife, she told me, she's like, I can't do this anymore. And I'm like, I don't know what I was doing that day. I think I had to go do stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, I don't think I want to live in California anymore. Obviously, that was like music to my ears. And we sat down, we talked about it. But ultimately, we decided the best plan of action was to sell the condo, get all the stuff, you can get rid of stuff, move it back in with her mother-in-law, and then we're going to take a road trip across the country, figure out where we're going to end up next. Obviously, she's a huge Disney fan, regardless of how I feel about the company. That is a huge part of her life, so she wants to be near theme parks. She wants to be able to have a good airport and hospitals and access to all these things, but we didn't really know where that was going to lead us. And at the time, we only had 2 kids. We didn't even have our third yet. So we did that giant road trip with the kids, my mother-in-law, her uncle, her Theo. We drove all across the country. Got all the way to Florida and fell in love. I love the rules of the state. I love the laws. I love the freedom I have for my businesses. I love everything it had to offer. Now, it's not perfect by any means. I feel pretty much every state in this country is very over-oppressive when it comes to government and taxes and rules and laws. But it was a heck of a lot better when we were experiencing in California. And we decided to, give her, she wanted something that she couldn't have had there, and that was building a new home. Well, I ended up choosing a bad builder, so we came back to California and started, we're building a home. Well, we found a lot, and everything was going great until all of 2021 and the rest of 2021 and all of 2022. We made no progress on the home until this year of 2023. And during that time, I decided I was going to get licensed in Florida. I'm starting my business off the ground there. I got my business in California. I'm trying to run back and forth. I'm going back and forth, back and forth. That was literally the synopsis of 2022, was living between 2 states, where mentally, I'm in Florida. Physically, I was still in California running my operations. Now, obviously, I closed many deals in California still, and that was great. But ultimately, I started to run the math, and I realized how much money I'm losing between taxes and rules and all these issues in the state. Hell, I'm even facing a potentiality where I have my professional license tied to my company, Hodge Home Team, here in California, and there's a potential where the state, even being a small business owner, like, yeah, because you have a professional license, if you move that to a different state, we're going to come after you for 3 years. That's fucking bullshit. I'm sorry. I hope you don't have kids listening right now in this, but I don't know how you feel about taxes and stuff like that, but when I choose to leave your state because it sucks and you're bleeding me dry, yeah, you can suck it. It's not how I play ball. And ultimately, that was the jungle we've been playing. Well, obviously, we got a new general contractor. The build took off immensely, and now we're at the tail ends of that build, and we decided that, hey, we're going to float Airbnb for a couple months and make it happen. The cool thing is like I'm actually kind of glad it didn't happen because I did a lot of soul searching. A lot of things have happened since then. Obviously, we got Tired Agents was the name of this YouTube channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're not, we are coming out with a training program. Tired Agents is really my methodology, how me and my partner have been able to be more present with our kids, be crazy in our lives, but I can still leverage out my business to where I've been able to grow it without having to be on the phone 6 hours a day and running these crazy 80-hour-a-week schedules that so many agents do. That's not what I want to do. Now, I work more than I should, and my wife watches this. She knows that I do, and I need to be better with it and more intentional with my time. And I've actually started to cut a lot of people out. 2023 has really been what I've learned in the previous years. It's the year of action for me, and part of that is, well, moving to Florida. And we have a lot of reasons why we are not happy with California. Ultimately, for me, financial is a big one. The barrier to entry to get into homes is a lot higher. I mean, that's for the same price as my condo. I'm building a brand new steel and concrete construction outside Orlando in Florida, right? Using a VA build loan. I put $5,000 down for that entire project. You can't find that in California. Not going to happen. I've been in this industry since 2017 in some way, shape, or form, between being an investor, mobile notary, real estate agent. I've seen it all. I'm telling you, not going to fucking happen. But in Florida, those opportunities exist. Now, it's not perfect. You have sinkholes and hurricanes, sure. I'm not talking about different locations. To me, it's really my big issue in life is having freedom for my family, and I want to have control of my family. And not in a bad way, but like when me and my wife make a decision, I want that to be the say-all. And hell, even right now in California, it passed the House already, and now they're already in third review, passing every single time in the Senate for a bill that would be, if you misgender your child, that you're going to be in position where the state could come in and take your child. That's bullshit. Because I really do feel that if you are a good parent and you are actually caring about your kids and you're trying to build them into something greater than yourself, that having just some crazy scenario where they can just come in and do things, even when it comes to gun laws, right? I mean, there's even a bill that was passed a couple years ago where for some reason, let's say because, I have firearms, unfortunately I lost them in a boating accident, but if you have firearms, your child could bring it up at school. And if someone at the school felt that it was unsafe, and honestly, I've met people in this fucking state where just the fact that you say the word gun makes them afraid. It's retarded. But that gives them the right to have the police come to your home and, well, check out your guns. Like, where are they stored? Where are all this? And obviously, I'm a huge advocate for gun safety. Always have been. I'm very thankful that my father raised me the right way, starting from a young age. Same thing I do with my boys. When you're too young, hey, don't touch it. Don't even look at it. It is not for you to touch. I have a safe for my guns and all that stuff, right? But the fact that there's so many loopholes to where, like, even there's even been court cases where, someone be breaking into your house, you shoot them, and you're the one having to prove why you shot them. They broke into your home. My favorite thing is being in Polk County in Florida is Grady Judd. I think that's the sheriff's name if I'm pronouncing it right. And there was even a teenager who broke into someone's house. Homeowner shot him dead. And his response, his official statement was like, what do you think was going to happen? You broke into someone's home, their place of safety. And unfortunately in California, you can't even get a taser or pepper spray without having a security license or something like that. Right? California to me, and this is really spreading across the country, but it's a peak form of like socialism. I have a patch that says only you can defend against socialism, but it's kind of true. Like they give all these programs, they give all away these free things, but are lives really that much better? And unfortunately, a lot of people in California, for me and my wife, like it's just not our people, right? That's a great thing about the United States. Every single state, it's really, remember when the country was formed, and this is just my understanding, but when you had all 13 colonies, each colony was their own country, really, the way they ran things. And when they came together, they all had their own rules and laws, but they agreed to come together under one veil of, hey, here are the principles and the rights that we all hold true. But each one is so different. And what's funny is when we instantly say we're going to Florida, people didn't really give a shit in the beginning. They were like, yeah, whatever. Until, there's a situation my wife goes somewhere about a month or so ago and comes back and says, yeah, I heard everything last night. She's like, I heard, you're going to come back. I heard you're not going to make it. You're going to be miserable. You're destroying your kids' lives. That it's a dumb decision. We heard it all. She heard it all that night, and I heard it all as well. Frankly, it's easier for me. I don't give a crap what people think. I know what's best for my family. As the man and the father and the husband of the family, my job is to protect my family and make sure that we move forward in a positive direction. And that's what I'm going to do. But, we heard it all. What's crazy about people in California, to me, and I also kind of get this effect growing up in a smaller town because people kind of do the same thing when you go to leave or do something bigger than what people in your area are doing. It's like the small town effect, but it applies to cities too. But like when your family is so rooted in a location and you go to jump outside that and go somewhere else, like they get defensive. They go, why would you do that? Why are you different? Why are you being different? Now, I've heard this and everything. I've heard it when I joined the military. I've heard it when I started businesses. I mean, hell, even when I started this new business, it's really the same thing. It's just, hey, I'm teaching other agents to do what I do. I heard it like, oh, is this a new thing? Why? What, did the old thing fail? No, I'm just helping other agents. Like what? It blows my mind when people get uncomfortable. They really love to push their fears onto you, their problems, their issues, and because they don't have the courage to do what you want to do. And the last piece on like the emotion side of it, but like politically, like obviously, like I don't like where California is going in any way, shape, and form. I mean, the crime is rampant. It's not getting better. And while Florida ain't much better when it comes to crime and homelessness, like I think it's a national issue by far, I can tell you that my pocketbook's a lot safer and my business opportunities are a lot higher. Now, let's transition to what I've seen from my business side trying to transfer it. I can tell you I have lost many nights of sleep trying to figure out how I'm structuring my business. And ultimately what I ended up doing is, I'm inactivating my license in California here shortly, and Hodge Home Team is going to end up being relocated to Florida, but it's not for real estate sales, it's just for my investment and wholesaling ventures, right? So there's not a professional license tied to it, it's kind of for its own thing. And the ultimate goal here is I'm going to end up creating a company, a holding company that owns all my ownerships inside my other companies. And that'll be the company that pays me. All those other companies are going to pay the holding company and such and so forth. And it's a little bit of a complicated, that's not the point of this podcast, but I can tell you relocating a company is really complicated. If I didn't have some business credit and things going through the company right now, I probably would have just let it die. Honestly, one thing I've learned is that if you have a company in another state, it's honestly a lot easier just to let the company end itself. That calendar year, you do your taxes, it's done, close everything down per legal laws in your state and location. But ultimately, because I have things tied into it and operations flowing, I'm probably going to end up holding on to it, moving it to Florida, and just rebranding it entirely. I'm going to hold my name off because I don't need one of you guys stealing the name that I want to name it to. But a little later podcast, future talk. But it's not easy. For those real estate agents and other people who are wondering, like, hey, should I get licensed in a second state? I can tell you it was really stressful. Being mentally and emotionally in two different states, trying to to generate business in both was hard. It's still hard. And that's why I ultimately came to the decision where I'm gonna keep doing my YouTube channel as a marketer for California, but my active license will be inactive. I'm no longer going to market myself in California as a active real estate agent. But the cool thing about having a license in Florida is I can still get referral percentages for deals that come into California. So it's not completely dead. I can still stay in touch with my clients as a friend. And if they need me, they know where to find me and get a hold of me. But, moving businesses, it's so hard to find good information on how to do it. And tax-wise, it's complicated. But if your company is established hardcore, be careful leaving California, man. They just want to attack you and gut you. I promise you, no matter whatever happens in my life, I will never start another company entity in the state of California. I don't agree with it. They don't deserve my tax money, nor do I want to really do any physical business in the state. It doesn't mean that money can't be made in the state. That is not true at all. That's not what I'm saying. But for me, it's just not for me. It is not my people. That's why in California, I only really helped veterans. Because most of them aren't really staying in California forever. They're just trying to figure out like that step of their journey. And, it's one of those things where you really got to figure out where you need to move to. And if you're in the position where you're afraid of leaving California or you're afraid of the fears that are doing it, well, if you're younger, I say take the leap. I mean, I have 3 kids. My youngest is 8 months old. Like, I promise you, the stress I have going, I got a potential lawsuit coming up for something else that's, thankfully, I'm not too worried about it. But still, it's all these things are compiling. And what's funny is like maybe, whether you're a believer in God or not, it's funny how when you start doing something that you feel is right and is just and you're helping people in a positive manner, it's weird how sometimes things try and pull you back. Like, that's not you. No, don't do that. It's kind of like when I quit cigarettes in the past, right? We're like, you know what, maybe I just have one cigarette. I did so good lately. It's like those negative, poor thoughts that just creep up. And during this process, that's something I felt. It's going through that, figuring out who I am. Am I doing the right thing for my family? Is it going to destroy them? But ultimately, it puts me more and more in a place where we're going to be putting our son into virtual school. We're going to give it a shot. We're going to see how it goes. I don't know if it's going to be the right decision. I don't know if I'm going to be well at it or we're going to be able to create a system of inclusiveness for my boys doing virtual school. But I have a big intention where I'm like, you know what? I'm like, just because a system's in place does not mean it's the only way to do things. And unfortunately, a lot of people look down on those things, but also I'm not most people. I want the flexibility. I want my son to be learning about the Civil War, and then we can take a trip while he's still doing school and go to Gettysburg, go to Antietam. Harper's Ferry. We can go to all these places during that. And I want to set up my life to where my income and my businesses allow me to do that for extended periods. I don't now I love working. Oh God, I love working. I'm okay to admit that. I love it so much. Like even, oh my God, I have all this packing that I've not been doing. God bless my wife. If any of you have served with me in the Marine Corps, you know that I would always pack last minute. It has not changed at all. I will get it done. It gets done. But I really am a procrastinator when it comes to packing. Oh my God, I'll take all the meetings in the world. And I really needed my wife to rein me in and go, no, you need to pack. It is what it is. It's something I don't like doing. But hey, we all got to do stuff you don't like to do. Got to pull your big boy, big girl pants on. You got to go do it. But, if you're someone else, especially if you're an entrepreneur or someone who owns a business, and you're in a position where you're debating, should I leave California, whatever, my biggest benefit was that because that build didn't work out, I had time to figure out what I was going to do. So my biggest thing is you got to figure out how that's going to be established. Like, do you have a physical business? How are you going to structure your business to help yourself on taxes as much as possible, right? A lot of times there's loopholes to where if it's just real estate investments, that company doesn't need to be activated in the state per se because you're not actively doing business, especially if you're hauling off or whatever. But obviously, not a financial advisor, not an attorney. Talk to your attorney, talk to your CPA, make sure you get the guidance. Look, I spent extra money on this, and you might too. I promise you, it's the smart thing to do is make sure you get the advice before you start relocating your businesses. Because if you do one thing wrong, man, you could have a big tax bill that you are not expecting at the end of the year. And you got to be careful, right? And especially as how easy it is to start a company, you got to be mindful. And if you are looking to start a business and you're leaving California, be mindful. You don't have to start it in the state you live in. And other states also really can cloud. They don't disclose who owns a business, like Wyoming. I think Delaware as well is one of them. And so be mindful of how you're creating that company structure. I wish I did it differently, but hey, I know what I know now. And now I get to help other people do the same. So, at the very least, to wrap up this show, I want you to know that you're not alone. If you're one of the many people leaving California, the biggest thing is realizing you might not like where you go first, and that's okay. But honestly, getting out of that state is expensive and it's tough. But the biggest goal is realizing why you're doing it and realize it might be short-term pain for long-term gain. And don't let it hold you back. And, if you are an agent and you're looking to figure out how I'm able to do all this while hopping around, virtually being able to close deals and still make my business six figures, then you can go to targetagents.com. It's a course. I'm shooting for a Labor Day launch right now, but right now we have a low price of $297. It's low cost. Once the course is launched, we will be upping that to $1,500. But right now, even if you pay early, I'm also starting to do my twice monthly group calls that are included with the course. So even though the course isn't fully finished yet, we're buttoning up the back end. I'm getting all the course videos done, getting everything's dialed in, getting all the items of value done so you can go along with the course. While I'm finishing all that, I'm going to start doing those group calls because I want you to be aware that if you are part of this community or whether you join me at EXP, it doesn't really matter. I want you to know that we take you very seriously and we're here to help you on your journey. Or, hey, if you are someone who's leaving California or you have a business and you just want to pick my brain on everything I know, doesn't matter what it is, down below, whether this is on you're listening on audio or you're watching this on YouTube, there's always a link to get me on the phone. I don't know if I'm going to keep it open forever. Maybe I'll shut it down eventually. I have gotten one spam call, so if I get a lot more of those, I'm going to shut it down. But as it stands right now, all you have to do, answer some questions, what the call's for, get me on the calendar. We'll have a 15-minute phone call, and I'll help you in every way I possibly can. Hey, I hope you have value in this episode, guys. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.